Hey ladies and gents, it's Zem back again, and we are playing Heliborne, and I'm doing the MI-2 review. This helicopter, and I'm doing this review because it's a subscriber requested. Sorry it's taking me so long to get to this. I've been playing other games, so he is apparently Polish, and and rightly so, pretty proud of this helicopter. This was produced solely in Poland by the Russian military. Uh, the original MI-1, was a piston-powered helicopter. This was the first production helicopter for the Russian military, and they built about 1,000 of these. However, after some look at it and looking at some of the French and American development, they decided to, instead of using the piston engine, to use a turbine engine. And with the use of the turbine engine, they increased the power by 40% and dropped half the weight off of using a turbine engine instead of the piston engine. So, going from the MI-1, the mill MI-1, they developed the MI-2, which, as you can see here, has the two turbine engines. The first prototype flew in 1961. Entered service in 1965. They built 5,500 of these helicopters, and like I said, solely in Poland. This was a Polish product. They were used extensively by the Soviet military. Not just, I believe, only a third of the helicopters were produced for military use. The rest of them were used for everything from reconnaissance to agriculture to land, sea, and rescue to chemical warfare. Just a straight-up utility cargo helicopter, a medevac helicopter. This was like the ultimate. This was kind of like the Huey of the Russian helicopters. I mean, especially the early versions, because this is, of course, just an early, what do you call them? Jesus, I'm losing my mind here. They are the Tier 1, essentially, helicopter for the Russians. But yeah, they used extensively by the Russian military, built by Poland, the Chinese, North Korea. North Korea still operates a large number of these helicopters. Mexico bought them, Myanmar, Belarus, Eastern Bloc countries. There's probably 30 or 40 different countries that use this helicopter. And in fact, the United States even had a few of these helicopters. And for some reasons, during my research, I found out that the University of Iowa had one of these helicopters. Don't ask why, I have no idea. So yeah, it was a very interesting helicopter, at least production-wise. Like I said, essentially the Huey, the American Huey's Russian version. I mean, this was used everywhere. Yeah, very interesting helicopter. What did we get in game? Well, kind of a matchup here. We get three different versions of this. This one right here has the 23 millimeter plus four 7.62s on the side, as you can see. The other version is the one with the 23 millimeter and rocket pods with 57 millimeters on the side, and of course the 23 millimeter with four ATGM missiles. These are all historical that I could find. These actually did exist, all three versions of these, which was kind of interesting because with that big 23, this makes it quite a bit more effective than, say, like the Hueys or some of the American helicopters. The 23 has a lot more firepower, limited rounds, but when you hit stuff like patrol boats or troops on the ground, it does a lot more damage. Quite a bit more damage. So yeah, interesting helicopter. The fact that the Russians had built so many of them, and they're still, as far as I can tell, still in use in a few countries, not necessarily military-wise, but like I said, with the agricultural, there was spraying. I mean, they sprayed crops with this, and as far as I could figure out, the only real operator, at least military-wise, is still North Korea. So, 8 troops. There was a wide-body version of this built that could carry 10. Like I said, utility helicopter. so it was used for everything. But yeah, they made a wide body version of this helicopter that could carry up to 10 troops. We get the 8 soldier version of here, which is interesting. Not being that it is more of an light utility slash assault helicopter. In many regards, it's a little bit, in my opinion, a little bit better than the Huey. It's relatively nimble, quick. It does, like I said, with that extra, with that 23 on it, it seems like it's a little bit more, at least damage-wise, better than the Huey. I usually run it with the rocket pods configuration. I've tried this version, but like I said, with just 4 of those, these things are monsters. Yeah, they're great for one-shotting patrol boats, but you know, if you have to deal with ground targets and that stuff, these things don't work. I usually, like I said, run it with the 23, because the 23 by itself is plenty against ground most troops easily, and against patrol boats does a nice job of it. Now, I haven't played this game in a while, and there's apparently been some updates, so there's been some changes in gameplay. And I played this twice today, and I was still trying to figure it out, so you'll see in the video what I'm talking about. Yeah, it's not as, it's a little different, and I see a couple screw-ups that I did, and hopefully I try to get them all figured out here. Like I said, stat-wise, durability is not bad. Speed, pretty decent. Agility's still, yeah, not too bad. Same with the climb rate. However, like I said, with the speed of this thing, and it seems like it's a fairly nimble helicopter, you know, kind of around like the Huey type nimble, I guess is what you would say. It's hard to compare, once again, unless you get them right next to each other. But yeah, it is pretty quick. Moves around the battlefield pretty nice. And like I said, with that 23, does a pretty nice job of mopping up most things it's run into. It does carry a mortar observer, so once you get mortars up, this thing kind of turns into a little bit of a beast. You add the 23 on there, you add the rocket pods. This thing comes to a certain degree better than most of the assault helicopters, or at least the attack helicopters, with that extra mortar observer. You know, you can back off, drop your mortars. If you have to, you can engage most targets pretty easily with the 23, or at least with the S5 57 millimeters rockets. They do a nice job of cleaning up ground targets. So I'm going to be bringing up the gameplay for you guys to check out the Polish Wonder. Yeah, I enjoyed the helicopter. It's a lot of fun to fly. Like I said, it gets around the battlefield well. With the 8 troops, you're able to take objectives fairly easy. Yeah, so it's a little bit of, like I said, it's a utility helicopter, so it can do a little bit of everything. So I'm going to bring up the gameplay for you guys to check out the this little Polish monster.